What do you feel about peak cluster?
Well, I believe peak cluster have underestimated the Wirral. I really do. I think everyone's been pitted against one another since 2020, but forget it now. We've all come together.
It's a no-go for this area. We don't need it. It's not necessary.
Why?
It's because it's dangerous. It's going to destroy a lot of the local habitat. It's going to take away a lot of our green belts that has taken years and years and years for people to fight for, to keep the green belt, and it's just not necessary.
Peak Cluster is a project that's been put together by the cement and lime industry in the Peak District in conjunction with the government. Now, they have net zero, which is a legally binding contract that they have to reduce CO2, which is great. We all want that. However, this project is not just about reducing CO2, it's shifting it from the Peak District to Morecambe Bay. And what they plan to do is rip a hole from the Peak District 200 kilometres long, right the way through Cheshire, Wirral and all of the areas between here and the Peak Districts, and it's going to be between 30, 40 metres wide in some places. That in itself is going to damage hedgerows, trees, well-established ecological systems. It's going to go through protected wildlife spaces. The scariest part is not just what they're going to be building, it's the fact that this pipeline is not safe. You're going to keep seeing in the media, they keep saying proven safe. A lot of them keep referring to a Norway project. Now that Norway project sits on a coastline and it pumps CO2 about between 2 and 3 kilometres into the seabed. Here, that's not what's happening. It's travelling 200 kilometres. Even if you look at the HSE documentation, they have referred to this as a critical hazard. So there are words that they're using to say, no, what Peak Cluster are saying and what the government are saying about it being safe and about it being vital, no, it's not safe. It's vital that we reduce CO2. It's vital that we decarbonise. It is not vital that we rip up half the country to achieve that aim. So no, say no to Peak Cluster.
I'm a Mells resident and I'm going to be one of the people directly affected by Peak Cluster's project, specifically the above ground installation, which is potentially going to be 3 football stadiums in size. In our small little village, the Wirral's a really densely populated place, there's no room for this, and we've got so many safety concerns about this thing, and obviously our kids are the priority and our grandkids. Oh, it's upside down! Oh no!
We haven't got enough green spaces in Wirral, and where they want to build it, they've already bulldozed a load to build more houses. So let's keep what we have got rather than building a dirty great station on it. Thank you very much.
We've got grandchildren. We've got grandchildren that are going to live here. We've lived here all our life. We've got children that will do. We've got grandchildren that are going to grow up here. And I'm also scared because we don't know how safe this is. We don't know if the pipeline's ever going to rupture and how dangerous that's going to be for our families.
We live in Morton, so I think one of the proposed sites where they're going to put this big converter thing that apparently is going to be massive and 5 stories high is going to be just down the road from where we live, which is actually like a nature reserve at the moment. And also kind of like floods all the time as well. So I think, the chances of something happening like leakages and things like that are probably quite high, especially with climate change and with, more and more areas getting flooded more often. It potentially is going to make noise 24/7 in it's basically just going to ruin that area and turn, the place that we live into this massive exhaust pipe is what it sounds like.
And what's your relationship like with the nature in that area?
Oh my goodness me, it's so special. That's the best part about living in Mells. You just walk to the beach and you can see, all the birds, the wildlife. It's incredible. I'm out there most days.
Nature's beautiful. We love the Wirral. I praise the Wirral all the time. I brag on the Wirral all the time. You can go anywhere around the Wirral and in 10 minutes you're next to a beach. We're so lucky. We're so lucky. So let's just have a bit of pride in where we live. And this is us now showing pride where we live.
We go there every day. We walk our dog there. It's really well used. There's always people walking their dogs there. There's loads and loads of research showing how important green spaces are to people's mental health. During lockdown, you could hardly get down there. It was so busy. It's really, really important to have these green areas that people can access, and particularly where we live it is quite a poor area, and that is, people don't necessarily have cars and transport to get to, the nicer areas, but there is that green space by the sea that is really, really well used, and there's loads of special birds there and things like that, and we get bird watchers from all over the place come in, so it's really important.
The nature is everywhere, isn't it? It's where they're planning to dig things up and put up the massive plant in. It's in where they want to lay the pipelines. What happens if there's a leak? There's been evidence in other countries that leaks do happen and they have very, very bad consequences.
My friend, she's laying on the ground and she's shaking. She's kind of drooling out of the mouth. I don't know if she's having a seizure or not. Okay, baby. Is this in Satarsha area?
I'm a botanical recorder, and I like looking at the wildflowers and identifying wildflowers and trees. Although they say they will put the land back after they put the pipeline in, when they put in the electricity pipe cable, a few years back, the land has not recovered in many places and the flora has not recovered.
There is a right that we all have under the United Nations to what's called free, prior and informed consent, and it's meant to apply to Indigenous people, basically who are facing oil pipelines and coal mining and things like that, that says that before any company or government goes ahead with a big mine or something like that, they have to have the consent of the people who are in the area. And they have to have been, given enough notice in advance, and they have to have the opportunity to say no if they don't want it. Do you feel like that you've had
absolutely
free, prior and informed
not
consent?
No, I didn't know anything really about this until about 3 days ago when I saw an article on Facebook, and I was like, what? They're doing what? I think it's got quite far without many people knowing about it. I think loads and loads of people don't realise the implications of what's going to happen.
Someone come on his land and he asked them what they were doing, and they were measuring, and he said, "You've got no permission." He said, "Oh, we have. This is going to be compulsory purchase." And he stood back and he said, "I've never. Who's told me?" Yeah. He said, "This is my land."
There was somebody, I think, at the Williston end the other day. These people just appeared in her garden.
But the letter that we got did not say, really what was going to happen. It was like a glossy brochure about the clusters thing. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know where it was. It did not make it clear how disruptive and how awful it was going to be for local residents.
The consultation, the questions were really biased towards, getting the result that they want, not really to suit us who live on the Wirral.
It wasn't a proper consultation. Asking questions, do you want to stop emissions, CO2 emissions, and you say everyone's going to say yes. And we're all in favour for that. But at any cost, I don't really think so, not at any cost. But we are in favour of doing things to stop the emissions and helping the environment, stopping global warming.
There's a place near Wrexham where they have done exactly that, and they've reduced their carbon emissions. So why don't we take a page out of their book?
I personally think there must be, if the cement industry is creating so much CO2 that they need to funnel it off and bury it under the sea, that doesn't sound like a great solution to me. It sounds like we need to look at the bigger picture, like what are other building materials that can, that we can use if that's causing so much of a problem, or other ways of converting that CO2, like burying it under the sea just doesn't sound like a great idea.
Someone's going to make a lot of money out of this. This is jobs for the boys and money for the boys.
How much lobbying of these companies, how much money have they given to the Labour Party?
They are completely ignoring the people and the people's wishes. Now, we pay our MP's salary. They are not working on our behalf.
And who's your MP?
At the moment. Matthew Patrick.
Yeah. And have you got a few words for him?
No.
I'm very, very disappointed in him. Very disappointed in him.
You've stopped swearing about him, haven't you?
Yeah.
Merseyside is a clean energy pioneer, a hub of carbon capture and hydrogen technology.
I think what we've learnt over the last decade and more is that this is the biggest jobs opportunity of the 21st century. And nowhere is it more true than in the investments we're making in CCUS, and I am confident that members of his constituency will benefit.
And
illegal. She's really let everybody down.
Yeah.
In fact, Ed Miliband just needs to go. Starmer needs to go. They all need to go because they're not doing a good job for this country at all.
No. Matthew Patrick, when he gets thrown out, he's got his pension, hasn't he? He's not bothered. You know, he's done what he wants. You know, I met him. Was it last year?
Yeah.
We spoke about Peak Cluster and the carbon capture project that they have on the Wirral. Was quite clear about the need for Peak Cluster to do a lot more engagement with people, really take the time to listen to the immense amount of expertise that we have here on the Wirral.
And he hasn't got a clue.
Matthew Patrick, listen to us, please answer our questions, our concerns, don't be shy. He's been very aloof recently. He must feel very out of his depth. It's a big deal. And we want to hear from him. We want to hear him. We want his support most of all.
Who's your MP?
Angela Eagle.
Yeah. And what would you say to her?
Get your skates on, love, and do something, because she's not listening to a word we're saying. She's towing the party line.
And what will happen to them if they don't listen to the people?
We're not going to vote them back in. End off.
My MP is Angela Eagle, and I'd like to say to Angela, please give this a really good think before you decide on anything, and think of the people of Wirral and think of the future for Wirral, because once it's in for good.
My name is Patrick Thelwell. Hi, here is a poem about me and Mel's. You can skip it if you like. When I was 15, I bought an old boat called Sue. I did my best to get her to float before the council closed the boatyard and gave me a week to move, so they could turn the area into a car park. I lost the boat, but I never forgot the dream. Living in this little town has made me. I've ran through these dunes since I was a child, and now I see growing up here is what made me wild, picking mermaids' purses from out of the sand and cutting my feet open on buried razor clams and climbing the lighthouse on a school trip and stripping off at Liso for the Boxing Day dip. Since I left home, I've lived in York, Hull, Leeds. I've been a student, an activist, a planter of trees, a gardener, a filmmaker, and now I make documentaries. When I was 15, I joined the Labour Party. I helped get Margaret Greenwood elected in 2015. At 19, I ran for local council for the Greens, and I've tried marching and direct action and everything in between. I've occupied coal mines in Cumbria and stopped their expansion. I've shut down the printing presses in Knowsley that print that rag, The Sun. I've sat on top of helicopters that the government was selling to Israel. I've thrown eggs at the king because I believe that we're all equal. I've been part of a group setting up people's assemblies because I believe in direct democracy, cutting out the middlemen and creating strong communities. I've travelled to Kurdistan to defend the revolution in Rojava because I believe if we want real change, the Kurdish freedom movement holds the answers. And honest to God, I'm not trying to show off. These are just some of the things that have happened to me. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I know from where I draw my energy. It flows from the tidal waters of the River Dee, and it bubbles up like the rising tide in the River Mersey. It is amplified when I close my eyes and think of the Irish Sea. I'm not scared of the state, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And when the legal routes are exhausted and this government gives the okay, then the real fight begins to stop this pipeline, okay? If they think we're just going to let them, I tell you, they're not right in the head. I'm from Mel's on the Wirral, and my mum's from Birkenhead. Hear this, Matthew Patrick, and my old hero Ed. I will resist the Peak Cluster pipeline until the day I'm dead.